In our last video, we looked at the SAE placements and fundamentals. And earlier, when we looked at that in the last video, we had no records showing up here. And if you come up and you have your stuff in AET, but you have no records, we're going to look at some possible issues that you could be experiencing. Like I said, if you reference the last video, you'll see when we clicked on those, we had no records. So we're going to show you a very common fix. So Mr. Chip, take it away.
Okay, if you get on there and there's nothing showing, the first thing you need to go back to is look at your cover page, your basic setup. When you click on that basic setup, look at those dates. All right, those dates, that's the first day this student was in ag. If you've got, that's the first day you've got this student recorded in ag. If you have records that come before this, they're not going to show up. So how do you fix that? A couple of different ways you can fix it. You can actually change it on here to fix it. But the best way to do it is to go back. You go here and you go back. It's going to ask you if you really want to do that and all this kind of stuff. The easy way is to go back to profile. That's the student's profile. You're going to enter your class schedule, and you're going to pick, you're going to add a class. You choose your pathway. The pathway, it doesn't matter whether you choose your pathway all that much or not, but if you go back to 1819 when maybe this student started, or you go back to 1920, and that's going to let you go the first. It's going to give you the first day in ag. So according to this one, if we added class 8-1 2019, that would give us another class, and that would change the starting date. If our starting date here is earlier, let's go back and show them one that the starting date is earlier, and go to profile and let them pick an early one. Okay, record your class schedule. Now add a class. Let's say go down here to 1415. Click that one. And add a class. Now you can go now to your reports. Oh yeah, we need to go to reports and go to application and basic setup, and look up here and see. Now we've got this person starting in I think it's Bonnie Fife. I think old Barnes started in 2014. So we go back here to SAE details, placement fundamental detail, foundational details, and you look at that, and there they are. All of a sudden, we've got a whole bunch of stuff, and here's where we, in the lawn and equipment, that's where our clipboard showed up. So this is how you do it. Now, you notice there's nothing over here to let you write. You've got to go back to the clipboard to write, and it's going to give you a clipboard for each year. And if you have multiple categories in each year, it's going to give you a clipboard for each category. So that if you look at your journal and Project Experience Manager, go over your clipboard, it's going to let you do a clipboard for each year that you've got projects on there. We didn't have anything to show on that one, but it will let you write in that clipboard, and then that's going to let you explain in detail your different things that you've done in that SAE, so that the judges can tell what you're doing. You want those judges to feel like they were out there with you, that they saw what you were doing. And that's the only way they've got to do that. So as you do, that's why you take pictures and you post your pictures on there. You can go through and pick pictures. Alan Waters used to always tell me, if you thought 5 pictures would do, take 10. If you thought 10 would do, take 20. He would get down on the ground and take pictures from different angles, and he would, all this kind of stuff. You never know when somebody's going to have their eyes closed or something's going to be goofy. So make sure that you get plenty of pictures and that you post those pictures. Now, if you don't have AET on your phone, or your students that are going, especially the ones that are going to do a proficiency on the phone, and then especially during this time with COVID and all this stuff, they're going to get more time working because some of them are not going to be in school. They're going to be virtual, so they'll have more time to work. Make sure they've got AET on that phone, because those pictures will just go right straight into this. It's the same exact thing. The phone is actually just a little easier to post stuff on than the record book is. So that's what happened. Most of the time, it's got to do with the date if it's not showing up. So what if you put something in? Let's say that you had done a bunch of stuff before Christmas, that you had had 200 hours before Christmas, and about January the 3rd, you thought, man, I better post those things. So you go in and post, and what happens is, Gary, let's go and add something to the journal. Let's do just add new, be fine. Let's do an add new. When you hit an add new, it's going to assume that it's today's date. So it's going to post it on today's date, right there. So you need to go back and backdate for when it, or pretty close to when you did whatever it was you did. Because if you put it in 2021, it's not going to show up, because the proficiency award year ends in 2020, December 31st, 2020. Add and explore your skill area. You can put as many skill areas on there as you want to put on, and they will flow over. The more, that's something that's going, and there's a lot of places you can do skill areas. Now, while this is kind of off the subject slightly, but as you go through bit reviews and things like that are coming up, these skill areas probably next year are going to be very important, because they're going to want to know what skill areas for Perkins 5, what skill areas are these students learning. And this is all you got to do to just print one off, and you can actually print off and go to the student records and print off nothing but skill areas if you want to. But today we're working on strictly putting this stuff in AET so that you can do a proficiency award, or a state FFA degree, or an American FFA degree. And that's what we're looking at today. So we're not going to go into that, but that is a possibility. Okay. Some other places that you might run into a mistake and how to fix it. You can always go to finances, and you can go to review, edit your financial entries. And you can see that's where you can change dates. If you need to change a date, you can go in there to edit and change that date to whatever you want to change it to. And then that will cause it. If it's not picking up, that very well could be what it is. You can go also. You can to that same place through journal. If you go to journal and click on that, you can edit your journal entries. And there's where we put the time in. Now remember, as you go through this, if it does not have a word count, it's not going to flow over into a proficiency application. Same thing's true if you're doing this through the National Chapter Award. And here's our photo that we put on as well. So it's got to have, this does not have a word count where description of the activity. That is for you. That's to tell. Now this picture is going to show up when you'll have that picture to choose from when you start doing the pictures for your proficiency application. That picture is there, but the description is not going to be there. So do we have any other questions on this one that I need to cover?
So, Mr. Chip, one thing, let's say we've got a student new to AT, but not new to agri-science, trying to backdate and get these records in. They would just need to go in and put journals and financial paychecks and all and edit the date back to the year. So, for instance, Barney, he's in ag in 2019, started his project, but not putting records in until 2020. He would just go and backdate those journals,
Yes,
entries, and everything,
yes.
and that would pull to the application, correct?
As long as he goes in and picks up a class first. Make sure you go in and pick that class up first.
I'm going to delete the 14, 15. Barney, he may have been a little slow in school, but we're
He
going to,
wasn't that slow.
let's pull that out and see what that does to the application. And we'll,
Okay.
maybe you could help explain for a few teachers that may have that question. So
Yeah, that,
back
that,
to
that very
placement
well.
findings. Since we pulled that out, it's going to adjust the basic setup date to the first day in ag, which was
Yep.
8/1 of 19. And then going down here, we see all those years that were there before now gone, and we're just left with the 2 years. So
See,
as
in
I put,
2019, we hadn't done anything with the clipboard, so there's nothing under description. If there's nothing under description, then you got a problem. You're not going to score very well in this part. And for a placement application, this part is really important. I think it's several points. I can't remember exactly how many, but it's a lot of points. So make
so
sure that you got something in that description.
as they're going back once again to their journal, they would go back in, they could review their entries and edit them,
Yes.
and they could go filter by year.
Yes.
So, or let me go the experience manager. Now, there's the 2019 stuff where we changed that journal entry.
Mm-hmm. See, notice over here on the clipboard, they're all red X's, so you haven't got anything in there. Also, the same thing is true with the little talking head over here. They're red X's instead of a check mark. So you haven't listed any skills that you may have listed the skills, but you hadn't described what they did.
Once again, those clipboards right here, here is the years. So as we put those dates in, it will create the years and we would go in. And this is what you were talking about in the last video. The 2019, what typed in here should not be the same as the 2020. There should be growth each year
Right.
to get a little longer, a little more detailed.
Yep.
And that all pulls back into that application.
That just shows that that student is learning skills, getting efficiencies, that getting better at his job, and they're giving him more responsibility as it goes on. And that's what they're looking for. It's not how much money they make. I'll just tell you, the more of them I've graded, and I got to help with the National Star Farmer this time. It's not how much money they're making. Those kids at all made quite a bit of money, but it's how they keep these records and how detailed they are and skills that they've learned and what they're able to do now that they couldn't do before. And that's the whole gist of what we're trying to do here. How much money they've made is important. How good of records they kept making making the money is more important. During the interviews for National Star and Agribusiness, one of the ladies asked to see the records for how much this young lady was doing uh, displays, fall displays with pumpkins and hay bales and all this kind of stuff. And she asked to see the records of how much money, how many hours and money she made, how much she made, as opposed to just retailing her pumpkins and hay. And she couldn't tell her because she did not keep up with her time. All she kept up with was how much she charged. And that cost her probably first place. Or she had a good application and she built a real program and a business. And that's what they're looking for.
So keeping good journals and good financial entries is a big key to this.
It is. If you want to do well, that's a big key.
Thank you again, Mr. Chip. We look forward to the next video where we'll dig into a little more detail on some of these numbers that come into play and another big point area on the application.
Thank you.